When you think of game types in Halo, the first one that comes to mind is Slayer, the quintessential deathmatch. Kill the other team more than they kill you, and you win. But there are a whole host of other non-Slayer game types as well, which are collectively known as objective game types. These include game types like Capture the Flag, Assault, Territories, Oddball, King of the Hill, and Stockpile. This video is going to talk about the first one of those, Capture the Flag. We already know from 343 Industries that CTF is changing for Halo 4, but we don't yet know how. Here's a statement from Brad Welch, the lead multiplayer designer on Halo 4 at 343 Industries. Now you might be thinking, whoa, why would you change CTF? CTF is amazing. Well, I'm going to explain why it needs changing, and then I'm going to speculate on the how. Well, let me say this first. How often do you actually play CTF? Just like Team Slayer is the home of 4v4 Slayer, Team Objective is the home of 4v4 Objective. As of March 2012, it's actually 5v5, whatever. And the problem is that Team Objective is actually really unpopular. It's consistently one of the least played playlists in the entire game. It's comparable in population to incredibly niche playlists like Title Update, Zero Bloom Slayer, and DLC locked playlists like Anniversary Firefight, which is only on one map by the way, Anniversary FFA, and the ever-ailing Squad DLC. For a playlist that is supposed to be the core offering of the game, something is going wrong here for it to be that unpopular. Now, some people will tell you that the player investment system is to blame here. That because you only get direct credit rewards for killing people, that players aren't interested in playing Objective. But you would think that if players are only after credits, then treating Objective game types as no kill limit Slayer would be rewarding enough. You could get more credits and you could play for longer. But of course not. I mean, people get tired of that and would just wish that people would play the game that it's the way it's meant to be played. So they go back to Slayer, since that's all Team Objective seems to end up being anyway. And let me tell you two interesting things. In Halo 3 and in Halo 2, Objective was always less popular than Slayer 2, and in a big way. In Halo 3, the game's progression system based upon experience and true skill. If you played objective games really well, they can actually be over really quickly, and you could get lots of XP and get your true skill updated really quickly, much faster than you could in Slayer because you have to hit that kill limit. And here's the second interesting thing. There's actually another objective-focused playlist in Reach. It's called Invasion. Invasion is a playlist that easily holds a position among the top 10 most popular playlists in Reach. And apart from campaign co-op, it's the place that has received the least updates to its rules, game types, or maps. And apart from Anniversary Firefight, is the playlist with the least maps. Just Boneyard and Spire, basically. I mean, there are some Slayer-based game types in there on more maps, but quite frankly, they're pretty bad, and that's the reason they're barely played, so they don't really count as part of the playlist. And yeah, Breakpoint is technically in there, but DLC shows up so rarely that it might as well not be. My point is this: when people come to Invasion, they come for one objective game type on just 2 maps, and that is more popular than the core traditional small team objective playlist with a diverse range of game types on a massive range of maps. That should tell you something. That should tell you a lot. What it tells me is that even with the credit system as the way it is in Reach, objective game types can still be popular and maintain that popularity, even if they're not supported with map or game type updates. And let me tell you something else. Do you know how many different versions of CTF there are in Team Objective? 9. 9 distinct versions of Capture the Flag. Many playlists don't have 9 game types in total, but Team Objective has 9 different versions just for Flag? Doesn't that seem insane to you? Perhaps more to the point, some of the most popular playlists, like Team Slayer, Living Dead, Team Snipers, or Team SWAT, have markedly less game types. They max out about 4 or 5 game types in total, and Team Objective has 9 different versions of Flag? What the hell? Something must really be wrong with Flag to have so many versions of it, so much diversity, and yet nobody really seems to want to play any of them. So by now you should be acknowledging that there is indeed something wrong with CTF. So the next question is, what is the problem with CTF? In a word, griefing. Rampant, systemic, and unchecked griefing. Remember how I was mentioning earlier that people would ignore the objective and instead would just get credits for kills? Well, that happens a lot. And even when people are trying to get flags, it's so hard to do so that they end up just killing loads of people anyway. In Neutral Flag and 2 Flag, you could have a bunch of captures at the beginning of the game, and the game is tied at, say, 2-2. But unless one of the teams can make that 3rd capture, the game will keep going and going and going right up until the time limit. Or if a team has a comfortable 2-0 lead, they figure, well, we're going to win anyway. We might as well sit around and rack up a few more kills before we do, pad our KD and stuff. And unlike the kill limit on Slayer, there is nothing extra that prevents players from killing all day long in Team Objective. And that's really not fun for the team that's getting beaten up and know they're going to lose. and they have to put it with that not only longer, but with more deaths than they would in Slayer. 2 flag also has this kind of problem of chaos. Players are continually torn between trying to attack the other team's flag to get more flag captures for yourself, and to defend your own flag from being taken. And you're never quite sure what to do at any given moment. Now some people say that that adds skill gap, and you get more of a movement in the score because, you know, as gaps open up in defense when teams are attacking too aggressively. But on the other hand, a lot of the time, it means the games just kind of grind to a halt as both teams are too afraid to attack in case they might give up their defense. And anyway, if a team already has the lead in flag, then they'll often concentrate on just defending because they've no reason to keep extending their lead, especially not to end the game, because why would they when they can get more kills and still win? Neutral flag has what I call a sort of non-confrontational problem and an easy recapture problem. The non-confrontation problem is that after the initial skirmish between the two teams at the center of the map, the team that wins takes the flag back to their own base to score, and the team that lost the initial skirmish often has very little opportunity to contest the flag again because it's already halfway across the map, especially if the rest of the team that has the flag is retreating with the carrier. Once this happens, it can lead to an easy recapture problem, where the victors of the initial engagement that got the flag and are retreating to their base give up the sort of middle ground to ensure that they can get that initial capture. And now the team that lost the initial engagement come to the center, take control, and then once the flag respawns, they can take it back to their own base without any opposition at all. Then there's one flag. And one flag is much simpler. You're either trying to defend the flag or you're trying to get the flag. And it's very clear which one you're doing at any one time, because only one team has a flag at any one moment. And unlike neutral flag, teams have to push all the way into the enemy's base to get the flag and then take it all the way across the map to score. So there's plenty of fighting along the way. The problem with one flag is that scoring the flag cuts the rounds short. So if you've already got the flag and you're standing right next to the plant, you figure, might as well just stand here for an extra few seconds so my teammates can rack up a few extra kills. The other problem is that the game is only up to 2 flag captures each. So they have to make getting a single flag capture really hard so you don't end up in 2-2 draws all the time. But the problem is when you make flag captures hard, is that even if teams are really trying to get the objective and complete it as fast as possible, most of the time in the game you're just killing dudes and you barely even see the flag. The last problem with CTF is sudden death. It's a good feature to have, so it's always viable to make a push for the flag and try and get it, but let's be honest. In 2 flag, for example, if a team has a 2-0 lead, they don't need another 30 seconds when the game has already gone 12 minutes to make that third capture. They've already won. The game's over. Just end the game. And half the time, the winning team is just invoking sudden death so they can get more kills anyway. Okay, so now I've tried to establish that there is a problem with flag, and I've explained what some of those problems are. Now the question is, how do you make flag better for Halo 4, Halo 5, and Halo 6? Straight away, in one flag you have the 4 rounds where teams are attacking alternately. And you shouldn't be playing that 4th round if it's already gone 2-0 to the team that attacked first, because the losing team can't go back from that. The game is over. What's the point of them playing for a 2-1 loss? Nobody wants to do that. It's just an exercise in frustration. But you probably came here for grander ideas than that, right? I mean, this is Halo freaking 4 we're talking about. So neutral flag has that problem of not really enforcing proper engagements like I talked about, and it's not very popular anyway, so we can probably just get rid of that. 2 flag is a lot more popular. It is, after all, the original version of the game type, but there's the problem of not being sure whether to attack or defend, and when you have the lead, you've no incentive to end the game. I can't think of any ways around that personally, so I'm gonna shelve that one for now as well. So then we're left with just 1 flag, and that makes things a lot simpler. You're either grabbing flags or you defend flags, and that's it. But collecting just 2 flags, maybe, out of the whole game isn't very exciting. At least in 2 flag and neutral flag you can get up to 3 captures. And having capturing your flags end the round early is kinda sucky too. I think we need to introduce some sort of pressure on attacking teams to keep collecting flags, so that they're more involved with the objective, and they're not just killing the other team all the time. So how about this? You play CTF 1 flag in just 2 rounds, once attack, once defense, with a set time limit of, let's say, 4 minutes. And you can capture up to 3 flags in each round. Doesn't that already sound more fun? But wait a minute, if ordinarily most maps are set up just to make 1 capture in 3 minutes, isn't it going to be too hard to make up to 3 captures in 4 minutes? Well, you can make flag captures easier than they are now. You know how the flag carrier moves more slowly than most players? Yeah, let's just get rid of that. Flag carrier should move at default movement speeds. Not getting to use your armor ability, like sprint or jetpack, and not getting to use your weapons or grenades is enough gimping, really. But what about flag juggling that, players in MLG and stuff are so fond of? Well, if you're moving at default movement speed, there's no use or benefit to flag juggling. And by the way, that's actually the way it was in Halo Combat Evolved. Flag juggling only came in with Halo 2 when they slowed down the flag carrier's movement speed. In Halo 1, you could throw the flag to teammates up ledges, through windows and stuff, but if you were just carrying it, you just kept running. Now, flag throwing isn't something I've really thought about, so I'll leave that discussion out of this video. Halo Reach actually features a game type called Speed Flag, where the flag is carried on your back, and you're free to run around at normal speed, use your arm abilities, and fire your weapons. But I think that actually loses a lot of the feel of CTF, and you can't tell us immediately that you actually have picked up the flag, since it's behind your head. And besides, when you have the flag, you should be running in the opposite direction to enemies, so you wouldn't have access to weapons anyway. And personally I think having to drop the flag so you can turn around to defend yourself from people is more of an interesting mechanic anyway. Now, naturally, if the team that attacks in the second round manages to overtake the score of the team that attacked first, then the game should end because the winner is already decided. Now, the game type I've just described for CTF, just 2 rounds, more flag captures per round, 1 flag. You can actually make that in Reach's Gametype editor, and I think it'd already be better than most of the current versions of flag in matchmaking. But this is Halo 4, man. Surely there's something more interesting you could do for flag? And anyway, couldn't teams still hold off on captures to get more kills on teams they're obviously better than? Couldn't we do something about that? Well, we could, I think. Remember that game type I mentioned earlier, Invasion? Oh, I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's so uncompetitive, spawning with ARs and plasma repeaters and stuff. Yeah, that's another point, shush. Point is this, in Invasion, when you're attacking, you don't get your full allotment of time right at the start. You have to earn more time by completing objectives along the way. This also means that if teams are really imbalanced, the attacking round for the weaker team won't go on very long. And if the weaker team is getting absolutely destroyed, that sort of puts a limit on how much they can get destroyed. Well, you could bring some of that into flag. For example, attackers could just start with 2 minutes on the clock to make their first capture, and once they've done that, they get an additional 2 minutes to make another capture. And if they make a second capture, then they get 2 more minutes to make additional captures. It wouldn't have to be exactly like that, 2, 2, and 2, but that's just a simple way of doing it so you can understand the concept. The way you could incentivize teams to make captures as early as they can and as often as they can is to make the time an addition to the time that they already have remaining on the clock. So unlike Invasion, where after you complete the objective your time limit gets refilled up to the maximum of 4 minutes, instead if you have 1 minute left on the clock after you make your first capture, you'll then have 3 minutes to make your second capture, and the same for if you manage to make a second capture for your third capture. Then what you could do is you could raise the score limit a bit to something like 5 captures, or maybe even have it unlimited. Then like this, capture the flag becomes more about how many captures you can make, how efficiently you can make those flag captures, rather than whether you can make any flag captures at all. And I think that would be a lot more fun way to do CTF. You get a lot more movement back and forth across the map and a lot more action with the flag, rather than just killing people all the time. So there you go, that's my theory on how capture the flag will be in Halo 4, or at least the way I would do it probably. Stick with 1 flag, play in just 2 rounds, and get extra time for completing the first couple of captures, and then try and get as many flag captures as you can in whatever time you have left. So, back to you. How do you think CTF should be, or will be in Halo 4? What do you think of my ideas? Leave me a comment, or a video response, message me, whatever. If you're interested in this sort of stuff, I've actually got an article on my website at drtautology.net. I'll link you in the description to the article. It's basically a text version of this video, and I talk about most of the other game types there as well. So you can go read that if you want, or if you ask nicely, I might make another video like this one covering a different game type. Question is, what game type would you like to see? So, I'm RC Master, I hope you enjoyed the video, thank you for watching.